Hola Brazil, we're Foals.
And you're listening to 89, the Radio Rock.
Viva la Rock.
Perfect. Yeah. You guys may... So, how was the show for you guys?
It was good. It's always kind of exciting when you start a show at a festival and the crowd gets bigger throughout, because you feel like you're winning people over, and that's kind of really like rewarding for us, you know, because if people don't know your music and you can kind of turn them onto it, it's sort of like it feels like I don't know, it's rewarding.
And you've been in Brazil a few times?
Yeah.
I think it's the fourth time you come here.
Yeah, I think fifth, maybe.
Fifth? And what do you like Brazil? How do you feel in Brazil?
I mean, I genuinely really like the people. I think that there's something like so open and warm about Brazilian people and Brazilian culture, and that translates into the shows when we play shows. The kind of passion and the warmth that we feel from the fans here is something where you don't get that everywhere. So that's a pleasure. We've only ever been to Sao Paulo, we'd like to see more of the country, really, you know, because we've only seen a small section of it, but we really like it here, and we like the food, and we like the drinks, and we like the architecture as well.
Where did you guys visit here in São Paulo?
On this trip, actually, we shot a video clip yesterday for our next single, so we were just in two locations, which I can't tell you what they were, but that kind of took up all our time.
Yeah.
Which song?
You'll have to wait and see.
Even the song.
We did the first time we ever came to Sao Paulo, though, we took a drive like an hour and a half out of the city to a beach. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it was beautiful, and we swam with turtles, and it was one of the best things we've ever done on tour. Like we all remember that really fondly.
Nice to know. And you've played in Lollapalooza in 2013 in Brazil. What changed in you, as personally speaking, as a musician since then?
I think we're probably a better band now. You know, I think that we have matured as players, and we play deeper with each other. Like we kind of we're even more closely knit as players. I think the show is better than it probably was in 2013. But with all of the energy, and hopefully more energy. So that's probably the main change. And playing new songs changes the dynamic of it as well.
What can we expect for the second part of Everything Not Saved Will Be Lost?
Riffs.
Yeah, some big riffs on that record.
Big juicy riffs.
There's a lot of energy on that record. I think maybe more so than the first part. There's like there's some heavy moments. I don't know. Yeah, it's. We were very like conscientious to make sure that the two parts like were equally, the quality was as high on both parts. So like there are some of my favourite songs on part two, but they're very, I don't know, in a different way.
Part 2 is more of a rock record. It's more like... No,
any bands inspired that?
No, we don't. I mean, not really. I mean, I don't mean that in a rude way, but just we like a lot of music, we listen to it, but we don't actively let the outside in. I think when we're writing, I think basically we just do what we do now.
Once we get in a room, it's kind of. I mean, obviously, as a human, you're always absorbing the culture around you, and that's always been the case. And you know, we all love different kinds of music, but whenever we do get into a room, it does just feel totally natural now, and it doesn't ever feel like, oh, let's try and do this band type of song, or let's do it. Sometimes, you know, like you'll do something and it might be like, oh, this actually does sound a bit like this band, and then you're like, okay, well, let's put that in the bin then, and then you realise it's, I don't know, it feels good just kind of playing to each other.
And a lot of people, especially the young ones, know Foals because of the song Mountain at My Gates on FIFA 16. Do you guys play games?
I play FIFA, yeah. Me and Jimmy play a lot of FIFA. Basically everyone in the band except Yanis plays video games to some degree. And I love it. Touring with a Nintendo Switch is like a game changer because you can play on planes together. You know, we're playing like Rocket League and stuff. Anyway, going off piece a little bit, but big fan of video games.
And is that true that you had an album that you play with Bones?
Yeah.
Yeah? How did this happen?
we wanted to make a record that was inspired by voodoo. We were talking about voodoo a lot when we were in the studio. So one of the things we did, partly because we had the time, was we got somebody to collect bones from butchers in London and boil them down and take the meat off, and we wanted to use them as percussion. And we spent probably a good 6 weeks waiting for the bones to be ready, and eventually we used the bones and they sounded terrible.
Like a couple of pencils hitting together.
It sounded like that.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. You're not gonna do it again.
But half of the fun was the mission, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the sound really that we were after in a way.
It was the right intent.
Yeah.
And what did music and rock and roll teach you guys? When did you decide, I'm going to be a musician, that's what I'm gonna do in my life?
I mean, I think the power of rock music is you get to an age where you start to realize who you are as a person, and when that starts to happen, I think that for me certainly I became the person who I was with the help of the music I was listening to. I think without listening to Pixies and the Nirvana and all of those bands at a certain age, my life would have been totally different. I think it stops you becoming a stockbroker or a banker, and it can make you be a more interesting, more creative person, and it can give you a lot of fulfillment in your life.
When did you decide?
I don't think I really decided. I always, I don't know, like playing music was like a sort of itch for me that I just loved. It was like a creative outlet that I just didn't have in any other aspect of my life. So, you know, I'd always enjoyed playing it, but I guess I kind of just didn't really expect it was going to be a career. So when the band got signed, like that was kind of a shock for me, and
I've never freak out.
I did have a little freak out, but I've never looked back since. It's kind of, you know, we feel immensely privileged and lucky to have got this far in an industry that is just falling in on itself. So it's, you know, it's kind of amazing. You know, feel very grateful for it.
And if you guys could choose one band for Lollapalooza Brazil for the next year, except Foals, which one would you suggest to the promoters?
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of a hard one, actually. I'd probably say I'd choose something that probably wouldn't manage to come here otherwise. So I'd either say there's an artist called Petit Noir who is from South Africa, or there's a rock band in the UK called Yak that I like. I'd probably suggest those guys.
The new band called Deftones. I feel like I don't know. We met those guys a few years ago, and I mean, it's just seeing like one of those kind of like from the generation before, incredible rock bands where every member is just an incredible musician, and they have these massive songs. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. It's kind of amazing to think that potentially like people could potentially feel like that about us one day. You know, it's kind of cool. You know.
And did you have the opportunity to know the Brazilian music?
Not so, no, to be honest, not actually that much. I'd like to know it better. I listen to some Latin music in general, like reggaeton and cumbia and stuff like that, but I don't think that's Brazilian, and I'm probably sounding like a fool saying that, so not that much. Actually, I've got a Brazilian dance 12 thing.
I've got a Brazilian compilation from Music
from
Memory.
Yeah, I got a Tropicalia thing, like Brazilian psych. Yeah, but older Brazilian stuff, not current Brazilian stuff so much. Yeah, but we need to probably get on that.
Yeah.
Any message to your Brazilian fans?
Yeah, we'd like to just say thank you for supporting us and for enjoying the music and believing in it, and for whoever came out today. It was great to see them there, and hopefully we'll be back for another of our own shows, and, you know, keep the faith.